Hello everyone, welcome to Quarantine Kitchen with Guy Bureau. That's moi. I'm your host for today, and this is our Pride Edition show for Vancouver and New Westminster Pride. So happy you can join us. We're going to be making some lovely cheesecake cupcakes. And does this set make me look gay? I don't know. It's a little understated, isn't it? So the way we're going to work it today, we'll do some stuff together. Some of you that have had the opportunity to get your food delivered, you have it at home. Those of you that did not, I hope you did your shopping. And those of you that don't feel like baking, well, then just enjoy yourself today. If you were with us last time, we had a special guest. We had Peach Cobbler, but Peach will not be with us today. She is today actually traveling with her husband, and they're celebrating their 15-year anniversary today with their son. So they're driving off somewhere safely around British Columbia. But we do have an extra special guest today that will join us a little bit later. Fatty Oda from the Great Chocolate Showdown. He's one of my favorite contestants from that show, and he will be chatting with us, and maybe we can convince him to do some pull-ups a little bit later, but we'll check that out. So let's get started, shall we? We have all our ingredients ready. I've laid them all out here, as you will see. So this will be the fruity tops for afterwards, and then this will be the lovely sweet bottoms. I hope you've all taken out your egg and your cream cheese, because as much as possible, room temperature is always best. And there's always a trick for later on if ever you want to do your egg that you forgot to put it out. Get some hot water, put it in the bowl of hot water for a couple minutes, and it will just warm up the egg a bit. Not boiling hot, but just hot water from the tap should be okay. I've got my lovely blender that I will be using. I'm playing the game with Andrew. You can use a whisk yourself by hand if you like. It's been a long quarantine and I haven't been working out, so I'll just use the electric stuff. And as well, turn your ovens on to 325. It's a slow bake, so I'll just turn it on. Always check to see that you have nothing in your oven. And I'm actually noticing that I do have something in my oven. I guess so. So we've turned it on. What the hell is this? Should I ring it? All right. I guess I'll ring it because I did not know I'd have this.
Oh, so you thought you were going to do Quarantine Kitchen and you weren't going to hear from the likes of me? Now, I know we're not gathering, there's not a big parade, but you can celebrate Pride in vital ways. Support our trans brothers, sisters, and children.
Preach, Peach. It's true, actually, because not every little boy wants to grow up to be Superman. That's what this shirt is all about. Wonder Woman. I was actually a kid. My sisters can attest to this. When I was a young child, I was a little obsessed with Wonder Woman. And I had a t-shirt. There's a picture out there of me somewhere with a Wonder Woman t-shirt, me just going, I was so proud and so happy. And I'm still a Wonder Woman lover. So our ovens are on. They're warming up. And we're getting it ready. And we're going to start mixing our cream cheese. So if you grab your cream cheese, you have a bowl. Hopefully it's not too cold because it's easier to mix when it's not cold. So I do apologize if there's noise. And we're going to start blending. The goodness of cream cheese being split around. Now the thing with this recipe too, it can easily be doubled, it can easily be tripled, and if you triple it, that's when you need to put it in a springform pan, because then you're pretty much a cheesecake, full cheesecake amount at that time. So, oh, look at this goodness. Now, the consistency is not too bad right now. It will be quite wet afterwards. So we'll just let it sit for a moment. And I will add my egg now. One lovely egg. That's all we're needing. I'm just going to throw it in there. Hope you've all washed your hands at this point in time. And now I'm also going to do a teaspoon of sugar. Now, in my real life, I actually don't really eat sugar. I would use a sugar substitute. So you can use whether it's stevia or anything else like that. That's up to you. There's no need. I will do a little pinch of salt just for fun. Because why not? And then the big stuff that I love, I use vanilla. I'm actually use this brand vanilla, but that's irrelevant. But if you want to do a different flavor and you want to use a different type of extract, go for it. So just about a teaspoon. There you go. That's about a teaspoon, or if a lot less, it's okay. Now we're going to go back in and just mix everything together. Ah, the lovely noise. Isn't it fantastic? Now, for those of you that are doing the hand mixing, good on you. Now, this is going to get very wet. So it's going to be a very liquidy consistency, which is what you want, and it's a good thing. Now, make sure you scrape it off the sides and so you get it into all incorporated properly. It smells delish already. Hopefully you're not lactose intolerant like some people we know. I won't name names yet. Okay, just finish this up a little bit. Okay, that looks great. It's a very wet consistency, so that's perfect. You want it to be quite liquidy. That's what we're looking for. So now, your muffin tins. So what I did here is we have the 6 colors of the rainbow, all the lovely. So this is where you get to the point where you choose your favorite cookie. And I really mean your favorite cookie. Like these are a variety. We have the chocolate sandwich cookies. We have the strawberry cream cookies. Had a little bit of a rainbow cookie, chocolate chip cookie. And then a lemon filled cookie. And then also a maple cookie. So really the base could be anything you want. You can just your favorite cookie, throw it in there. If you want to get fancy, you can make cookies and then put them in there. So for cupcakes, it makes it very easy with these because you don't have to do a crumb, you don't have to do a full cake. So it makes it easier. And I will say this, the lemon cookie is pretty darn good with blueberries on top, just saying. I did send some for those of you that did ask for the kit. You do have lemon cookies in there, so I will suggest that you do use a couple of those. And then I just gave you a variety of cookies. Just make it yourself. So you just put them at the bottom. It's very complicated, people. Let's do a variety of things. We'll do a little maple and another lemon. Now the rest of the cookies, it's a snack. Why not? Eat a snack while you're baking a snack. That's the good thing. Okay. So now we're going to fill our cookies, our cupcake tins. Now, not always, but for this to try and measure, I'm going to use an ice cream scoop. If you don't have an ice cream scoop, that's okay. You can just pour it in, and these pretty much go right to the top. So let's just go for it. And boom. That's it. The cookie just sits at the bottom, absorbs the cream cheese filling. Bye, little cookies. Swim in the cheese, my friends. Now, of course, as you keep doing this, they will go quite up high because these don't rise very much. There's no agents in there that will say, like a real muffin, that will make it rise. So don't worry about going right to the top, which I will do now and empty my bowl in to make sure they're pretty much right up to the rim. And flavors. It's really up to you, because there's no rules when it comes to flavoring, because we all have different palates. If you want to make it more savory, go for it. Make it more savory, because cream cheese, the joy of cream cheese, you can go a little bit both directions, and that's a fun thing. And also, when you want extreme flavor, throw it in there. Curry cheesecake. Why not? Try it out. I know curry and chocolate go together. I made the fun thing about baking cheesecake. I did a Kit Kat one the other day where I just used the small Kit Kats and put it in all around and shaved it on top. This is a very basic recipe, and that's what I love about it, because there's so many different types of cheesecake you can do. You can add more things and take things out from the New York to the fluffy to the Japanese cheesecakes that are all fluff, or to the just chilled ones. But this is a very quick and easy, simple. You could add to it, just like the scones we did last time. This is a good base recipe. So if it's 1 brick of cream cheese, which is 250 grams, and 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then if it's, you add another brick, add another egg, and add another tablespoon, and the same, so on and so forth. So that's a great base for a basic cheesecake. Then you can add all the different types of flavoring you want, and all chocolate ganaches and everything else. There's so many options and things you can do. So, okay, I'm almost ready to go into the oven. These little puppies are going to go in, and let's see how that goes. All right. So if it's approximate times, because everyone's ovens are different. So I know that, keep an eye out. We'll go look at it in about 16 minutes. So we'll leave them in for 18 is usual bake time, but it could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more. You don't really, if you're going to do a full cheesecake, you still want some jiggle in the middle, because you could sit it aside and let it bake longer. Today, I'm not going to really let that process happen, because once I'm done, I'm going to throw them in the fridge or freezer so they can cool down faster, so we can decorate them faster for this premise of the show. Right? So it's very easy. These cupcakes are just one of those you whip up, throw a cookie. You don't have to worry about baking too much. You just kind of do that. So now we have all our cupcakes in the oven. So what should we do? Let's watch something. Hey, Andrew, can we watch something?
Hello, bakers.
Hi.
After years of developing chocolate recipes, we've learned a few things. One thing I know is that nothing triggers our taste buds like the marriage of salt and sweet. And that's why we brought together creamy milk or dark chocolate, caramel, and roasted pecans in our sweet Georgia Browns.
Salty and sweet, that is Fatty's wheelhouse, so I'm already excited.
My dessert is a tahini miso brownie.
First thing I want to do is just pulse these real quick and get them toasted.
Come on.
I am making a miso chocolate brownie.
I'm gonna use dark chocolate.
Whoops. Miso is earthy and salty, but I want the chocolate to shine because the chocolate is the star in this dish.
These miso brownies.
You gotta go in so that they can set.
I don't want to make a cheesecake, and I'm thinking of a deconstructed idea.
Next on the list is the goat cheese frosting.
I like the tanginess of goat cheese, so I want my goat cheese frosting to actually be the cheesecake.
Cause why not? This is where I get to have fun.
I need to start working on my tuile batter. I actually have some candied brown butter pecans already in the mix, and hopefully it will give it a nice crunch.
They look great.
My brownies are done. I now need to make my cinnamon-infused caramel sauce for the caramel element. Oh, guess who makes a great caramel sauce? This guy.
Oh my gosh.
I can see the finish line coming real fast. I swoosh some caramel on my plates. I get some chunks of brownie. I pipe my goat cheese frosting.
This whole experience has been making recipes on the fly.
Oh God, please like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to welcome that guy, actually, Fatty Oda. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming, Fatty. How does it feel seeing yourself on TV in your goat cheese cheesecake?
It's a little awkward, but I'm really happy it turned out great.
That's the one. For spoiler alert, he won that one. So, Fatty, you're in New York right now.
I am. I am in Brooklyn, where it is very gloomy and it looks like it's going to rain any minute now.
Oh, well, it's better for baking than that weather.
That's true.
The little story about, so I watched the Great Chocolate Showdown on TV, and then I was watching Fatty's go, and I kind of stalked him online. I went, I'm going to go send him a message to say, you were fantastic to watch. You were very entertaining. And so that's how I got in touch with Fatty, through his Instagram. And then what's great about you, Fatty, is that you post a lot of amazing things on your Instagram feed, which we will suggest that everybody goes to follow after. And then I just contacted him a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago and went, hey, would you be interested in joining us? And he said yes, which is amazing. So how have you been occupying your time, my dear friend, with all this baking passion that you have?
So initially when I moved to New York, so I moved to New York in December, and then COVID struck like a few months later. I was selling like custom ordered cakes, cookies, whatever people wanted to make. I love a challenge, so I would make anything anyone asked for. And then after COVID struck and people were starting to lose their jobs and there was a lot of food insecurity, I decided it's really important that during these difficult times that we still remember joy and we still celebrate. So I took it upon myself to kind of start my own Zoom classes where I would collect donations and then donate the monetary tips to an organization that does food justice. And then anything that I baked, I would place in a community refrigerator in the neighborhood. So that went really well. And then one of my friends actually reached out to me and told me that she knows someone who organizes for a local urban farm here in New York. And it turns out they're a huge operation. So they have five farms, something like that. They have one in every borough. And they asked me to start creating treats for their clients. So they basically give me something that they grew in excess. So the first week it was carrots. So I actually created gluten-free carrot cupcakes for their clients, and I made I think 350 cupcakes for 85 families. And then the following week, I actually used the greens from the same carrots, but I made a pesto out of it, and then I did pesto knots. So then the cupcakes were so successful that they asked if I could make more. But obviously I'm one person. I live in a studio apartment. I literally had food everywhere. It was everywhere. So I ended up making food for like 160 families. And I made something like 640 pesto knots over a week. And so right now I'm actually developing a spinach-based cupcake. So it is actually a sweet cupcake, not a savory cupcake. But you can taste the spinach. It's very subtle. It's super delicious. So I'm going to be making that this following week. And hopefully this will be the beginning of a long relationship.
Well, that's the thing that's what I find really interesting with your Instagram page, is that you're constantly posting things. You have become a master baker in these single COVID times, but you will see pictures if you follow him on Instagram. He will have pictures of, on his table, on his radiator, on top of his fridge, muffins and baked goods everywhere in his apartment. And I just think it's phenomenal. And there's something I find so intriguing that you guys have in New York, in the borough, as you were saying, the community fridge, which would just not fly here. To me, the concept of the knowledge of it's a beautiful fridge that's painted with gorgeous artwork on it, and people leave food in it for people to take and give and share. And I just think that's a phenomenal program that is just, I don't know, I don't think we'd be able to get away with it in this country. But I think it's amazing. I think that's the type of stuff you do is phenomenal. But here's a question, Fatty. How would you make it all fatty with your toppings and your baked goods? As we saw you create, you're the what was it? The sweet and salty guy? What creative stuff? Because you do have creative ways of baking.
That's okay. So my creativity really is born out of necessity. Like, I grew up pretty poor, so like we had to be really creative on how to utilize a single ingredient in as many ways as possible and to reduce waste. So although I am lactose intolerant, I know you hinted at that earlier, so I don't eat a lot of cheesecake. And I will tell you guys, I have yet to successfully bake a cheesecake. I do not know how to identify the proper jiggle. So like, I have often either overbaked or underbaked my cheesecakes, and all of my friends laugh at me because they're like, how are you making complicated things and you can't do a cheesecake? Anyway, so if I were to do a cheesecake fatty style, I would definitely I would probably create like a curd or a jam from scratch, and I'd probably swirl that in the cheesecake base because it'll give like another dimension. I would probably also do something Middle Eastern inspired. Like I would probably create a semolina and pistachio with rose water crust. That would be where I would go. So that would give you like a grainy, crunchy texture on the bottom on top of the creaminess. And I would probably also do some sort of cookie on the top. I've always wondered, like, why don't we do like a cheesecake sandwich type situation? You know, where you have like a crust on the bottom and a crust on the top, because you need something to contrast the textures. You know, like, and I also don't want it to be hella sweet. I want it to be very balanced. So that's what makes sense in my head.
It makes sense in my head too, I think. So I don't want to step over boundaries here, but I might just be outing you, Fatty.
Go ahead.
I'll just assume and be that person that you're also a friend of Dorothy, as I am. But you're in the birthplace of the modern Pride movement, though, which I find interesting, because in 1969, Stonewall Inn is where Judy Garland died on June 19th, I believe, and then the gays were tired, and the trans women and people of color, and it was just tired of the hate that was being given to all of the queer people of the era. And this kind of happens on and off at different times now. But what's the energy like in New York? Because I know you guys had Pride, the original Pride in June, because that's usually when it happens for the birth movement of Pride. Was it last year that New York hosted World Pride, or was that 2 years ago?
No, that was last year.
To go from World Pride to virtual Pride, like all of us are doing around the world, I think is kind of an interesting thing. But how for you is Pride, and have you been out for a really long time, and how do you celebrate Pride in different ways? Like, what's your experience like?
So it's so funny because before I came out when I was 23. So I was older when I did it. I grew up Muslim. I am still actually practicing Muslim. I don't know why I said it that way. But I'm Muslim, I'm Palestinian. So I grew up in a very traditional home where that was just not, it wasn't even not spoken about. It just wasn't a reality. Like, it was something that people just didn't accept was real. So coming out later in life, I guess, but in the beginning of my adult years, definitely colored my experience. And I used to think all the time that to come out meant that you had to be exuberant and you had to be flamboyant and you had to be shirtless and have a six-pack and like walk in a parade, and like, because unfortunately that's the image, that's the frame that we're actually provided through popular media. So if you don't actually have gay people in your life, or queer people in your life, or trans people who are just living life, you don't really understand that there's actually no disconnect, you know? So it kind of shifted from that thought into just simply existing, you know, like living your best life and representing yourself to the best, the most honest version of yourself. You know, authenticity is where it's at. So I would say, like, I celebrate Pride every day by simply existing and being the best representation of myself that I can be. In terms of the actual, like, broader context, the parade, the celebration, I have not been very active this year in that respect, mostly because of COVID. There's definitely a very serious fear and a very serious hesitation about it. I also work in the hospital field, or the cancer research field. So it's very important for me to kind of minimize my contact because I am actually interacting with people who are immunocompromised. However, I will say I'm very proud to be a queer man of color in this era, because Pride has now kind of transitioned back into what it was originally intended to be. It's not, like, there aren't a lot of corporate sponsors for what's happening right now. And it's much more authentically representative of who we are, but more importantly, who we want to be as a community. Like, where are we going?
That's amazing. I see you, Nancy. Oh, you were clapping.
Yeah, I think he was applying. She was supporting.
Because we're muted, I wanted him to know that I applauded what he was saying. So sorry, but yes, I totally applaud what you're saying. Thank you.
For those of you that don't know, in sign language, this is what applause is. This is how you applaud in sign. So for all our deaf brothers and sisters and allies, we're applauding.
Yay.
This is why, Patty, I think you're great, because your Instagram really shows that, and that's why following you on your Facebook and Instagram, it really is inspiring, because there are times now where we could just hide and let the fear guide us. But I truly think that this is the time to let love guide us, and whatever that means for you, and just let fears there. We're always, from the get-go of life, we're told, be fearful of everything. So just go with love, and that's what I find you're inspiring, because you do go with love, and I think that's amazing. And you inspired us to bring you on to this lovely show all the way out in New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada, which is phenomenal.
I mean, the best next thing to actual travel, you know?
Well, that's what I find is interesting. I think we're all communicating a little bit more with people that we hadn't communicated with prior, whether it's friends that we haven't seen in 20 years or family members. My sisters are online right now, and I believe my cousin is here too. And these are like, when would I be hanging out with my sister and cousin baking? Right. Never. And that's what's great, because it's creative times. You're seeing some amazing things happening online, which is kind of phenomenal. Just going to take a gander at my little muffins to see what they're doing. So everybody, go check out your ovens, because you all have different ovens. I want to make sure it's all good. All right. A bit. Yeah, see, they're looking pretty good. I'm going to leave them in there. They have a little bit of a jiggle right now, which is what I would normally do. Like, if you go back, you see that there's an aspect of want to throw the camera to the oven boundary. So you would see that this would have a little bit of jiggle. Now it's going to start singing because I've opened the oven, but alas. Because I want them to, sorry, I couldn't see properly, so, you'll have the opportunity to let the jiggle go, but we'll go back to decorating a bit. So it's about, hey, Louise, how many minutes do we have left in the oven? Because I didn't time it. We have 3 minutes, so we'll leave it there. While we're waiting for that, I would just like to welcome everybody again. How's everybody doing? Anybody have any questions for Fadi at this point in time? Just let Shelly know. You can ask him anything.
Yeah, you can literally ask me anything. I don't mind. I'm pretty much an open book.
Well, nobody wants to ask you anything, Patty. So I will say that you did have one thing about, you made a cake for a friend, and you painstakingly took hours and hours to decorate it with almonds, if I remember correctly. And what was it your friend said?
He had told me that he actually really dislikes almonds, and I guess when I read the message, I just read almonds, and I'm like, great, I love almonds, they're amazing. So I ended up spending an hour and a half just like plastering this cake. I mean, it turned out beautiful. It was a gorgeous cake. Like, he looked at me and was just like, it's almost as if I told you I love almonds, but in reality, I told you I didn't. Do you listen to people? And I'm like, I'm really sorry.
Well, I got a little bit of inspiration from you on that one, because what I thought today was with people, I was like, I felt like baking again. So I baked something. And it's a little bit of inspiration from you.
Okay.
So I baked a cheesecake. Now, I know it's real bizarre. So a full cheesecake with almonds, and you'll see that these almonds aren't white. So what I did was I separated them in bowls, and I put, so you'll see from, like, look at this. So do you want to do the other camera? Front camera? So what I did was I put a bowl with food coloring for the red, for the pink, and then blue for the blue. And I don't normally use a lot of food coloring in my cooking at all. Like, I would normally use like the natural beets and whatnot, but I didn't have time. So in the cheesecake itself, I put some different colors. So there's all the colors of the rainbow. And I just did that for fun. So you can also do this, and we might, for Zoomers, cut it open and see what it's like, but why not? All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 18 minutes. I'm going to go look in my oven. Ah! Yep, that's good enough. See how it's got a little bit of a peak? Little bit of a peak right there. So we're just going to leave them out. I'm going to put them on the counter for a bit. So if you want to go check your cupcakes, everyone, to see if they're ready, you can take them out of the oven.
There's a question for Fatty in the chat.
Oh, Fatty.
What was the first thing you ever baked? Who taught you?
I actually was thinking about this recently, and I was going through a bunch of old pictures, and that's how I remembered what it was. I actually had this like formal dinner party hosted at my apartment in my undergrad, and I actually made fruit tartlets. That was the very first thing I ever baked, and it was very challenging. It took me forever. None of them turned out the way I wanted them to, and it was a very humbling experience because up until that point, I think I must have been like 21, 22 when I did it. Up until that point, I had been primarily just cooking, and that was the first time I really kind of sunk my hands into some baking, and it was intense and not what I wanted, but they were edible. I mean, the second half of the question, I'm mostly self-taught. Like my mom and grandmother are both amazing cooks and bakers, so like I always grew up around it, but I never actually participated. So it wasn't really until about 4 years ago that I really started like really getting into baking.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I'm a self-taught cook and baker, and I play one on in life where I have, I've had my restaurant for 15 years, and I've been cooking for people, and people are like, "You're a chef." I'm like, I don't like that word. I just cook for people, and people give me money. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's usually good most times. Sometimes it's not, but I do follow. I also follow the fatty line of there are no mistakes in the kitchen, because if you overcook something, well, guess what? Put it aside, then crumble it up and put it in something else, and it becomes fantastic. Now, I'm just going to take my cupcakes and I'm going to put them in the freezer just so we can cool them down. For me, but if you don't have the space in your house, you don't have to worry about it. We can do it, but I'm going to put it in the fridge or the freezer, but I'm just going to put it in my freezer right now just so I can get them cooled down so we can decorate after. Now,
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever worked with fruit powders before?
Only with fruit, no fruit powders.
Okay, I was just gonna make like a really simple suggestion. It's a great way to add both color and flavor without adding any moisture. So if you want to actually incorporate something like, I use a lot of really bright red colors. So I use a lot of pomegranate and cranberry fruit powders because they also have a tartness to them. So it really works really well with sweets.
Yeah, that's something I noticed of these cooking competition shows that you had the opportunity to be on, and we've all probably watched them and gone, "Oh my God, how did?" And like so much stuff that I have never, like, what? Like, I'm not gonna have ruby chocolate in my kitchen because,
right.
Like, how is that experience on being on one of those shows? Like, all that stuff.
I think, okay, I'm not going to speak for other people, but for me, it was literally being a kid in a candy store. Like, I had read about a lot of these ingredients, but I knew I couldn't afford any of them. Like, compounds only come in huge tubs, and they are, like, apparently in the UK, they have a warning on them. If you consume too much, it can actually cause mental retardation. Like, it's actually really bad for you. So you have to use them very sparingly. I never use them because I was like, I don't know you. You're way too unfamiliar. I'm not going to use you. But like, for instance, things like pistachio paste or vanilla paste, these are things that like are a different version of something that I've already used, but they're also so cost prohibitive that I would never buy them for my own personal baking. So I looked at it as I would go in with a plan to use a certain ingredient or spice, and then whatever challenge they threw at me, I knew I was going to incorporate that thing. So it was a way for me to kind of experience and play with things that I know I couldn't do in my normal life. So it was just living up the fantasy.
Nice. Well, that's amazing. Well, that's a kid in a candy store. That's a good attitude, though. Let's be honest. Yeah. So what about Pride? So Pride has different colors. What's your favorite color, by the way?
I mean, I'm wearing the necklace. I don't know. I usually gravitate towards blues and greens, like naturally. I don't know why. Maybe I find them soothing, but I kind of like all of them, especially my food.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what
Yeah.
any of them symbolize?
Oh my gosh, I used to know this.
Well, then guess what? I have right here in my lovely hand, Fatty. I have the magic gay bell that will conjure a certain queen that will explain to us what it means. Are we all ready?
Yay!
Now, you all look pretty smart, so you may already know this, but did you know that the original Pride flag had 8 stripes and not just 6? Yeah. Whoa. What are the colors? Well, hot pink for sexuality, red for life, of course, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, indigo, of course, magic and art, because isn't art magical? We rely on art in pandemic times. Indigo was serenity and harmony, violet for spirit. Now, check your Pride flag. How many stripes does it have? The more you know. Happy Pride, New West. I love you, I miss you, and I'll see you soon.
Yay, peach! Love it! You gotta love the peach, don't ya? So, I'm just gonna do a little bit of cutting and getting ready for the decor while we have our cupcakes. Fatty, we'll come back to you. You just keep looking fabulous. I thank you very much for the chit chat. So here's the aspect of our toppings here. We have opportunities, we have options. So for me, you know, you can do it's basically the cupcake, sweet bottom and a fruity top. So you just have that aspect, or if you really want to, you can have the sweet bottom and a sweet top. It's whatever you like to do in your world. So we have all the reds and the colors because this is Pride. So I've got all the colors here for you. So it's very simple. You even have some candy if you want. You can do your favorite candy, chocolate if you want. Let's be honest. When you decorate, Pride is your colors. You choose the color you want and what you want to celebrate and how you want to celebrate it. But that's the beauty of Pride. There are no rules. There may have been before, but they're not anymore. So for me, I've got a kiwi. I was trying to think yellow. So I got a gold zucchini. It's a little bit gold. It's not very yellow, but it will work. So you can just cut it however you want to slice it. I believe you do what you like, and it'll just be perfect, right? So we'll just do a couple of slices. Again, these are small cupcakes, and you're like, but I'm only going to use a couple for the cupcakes. Great. Guess what you can have after? You can have a fruit salad, right? So there you go. For me, let's go with another one and a wedge, just to be fun and creative. So that will be the kiwi for my yellow, right? Well, let's get a lovely plate here to decorate so I can place it along. All right, so my yellow will be the gold kiwi. Now, everyone's like, bananas. Well, I don't want no banana on my cupcake because really it's the skin that's yellow. So put that aside. Orange, mandarin, why not? So just cut it open and do this. Now, one of the things that you can do as well for if you want to be a little bit more sweet and just have more of a sugar concept and do that more often, you can make chocolate ganache. And chocolate ganache is a word that sounds scary, but it's so easy to make. So I'm just going to do this. There we go. Slice it and then just spread it. There you go. Put that on the side. Blueberries are really hard to do, so I'm just going to put them. There you go. I will just throw a few blueberries on top. Same with the grapes. I'll probably cut those because those are a little big if you want to put them on top of your cupcake. There we go. Such hard work. Hey, Fatty, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
What is your favorite way of making chocolate ganache of any kind? What is the easiest, simplest, let me make some chocolate sauce and throw it on my cake?
So it depends on what I'm going for. If I want something super fluid, it's just equal parts chocolate to heavy cream. So if I have 8 ounces, I use 8 ounces of chocolate and 8 ounces of heavy cream. My favorite, though, is a fudgier texture, which you can actually use to fill your cakes. And that one is like 1 to 1/2. So it'll be like 8 ounces of chocolate to 4 ounces of heavy cream. That's like, with red velvet cake, that is by far the most delicious combination. That plus cream cheese frosting, and you're done. Like, it's amazing.
See, I've even used almond milk for
Ooh, yes. I do
instead of
milk also.
yeah, because instead of using heavy cream, I'll often just use almond milk. And even if I want it to be, because almond milk isn't as thick or whatnot, you want that little bit of a gooey consistency. When I warm it up, what I've actually added a couple of times is almond flour, because you cook it down
That's
a bit,
really smart.
and almond flour doesn't have that, oh, it's flour that's not baked or cooked process, right? So I will throw some almond flour. So we'll thicken it up when it's warm a bit, and I find that works really well as well.
I'm gonna try that actually. That sounds delicious.
Well, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So with the and then I also have like chocolates. Like I even have, remember these little candies that pop in your mouth?
Pop
Throw
rocks.
that on there. Pop rocks. Like there's just so many easy ways for doing a topping, and that's what I love about cheesecake. This recipe is so simple. Once it's cooled down, that's when you throw whatever you want on top, because it will absorb it. Now you can as well make it like, if you want these lovely fruit to be way more sweet. Well, then just throw some sugar in there and just let it sit for a while, and you're just going to macerate your fruit, and then it gets into more of a coulis aspect of things. And if it'll just be sweeter, and you throw it on top. There are no rules when it comes to flavor, and that's what I love about cooking and baking. Right? It's a beautiful thing. Now, is anybody celebrating anything today? Birthdays, anniversaries, divorces, any of that happening? I can't see people, so does anybody have a hand up? No? You're all just having a beautiful Wednesday? All right, well then you're not getting a prize. So I will, yes, Shelley?
Two people celebrating Pride and summer vacation.
I've been on summer vacation since March because I had to close my business. For me, the aspect of I turned 50 on March 11th and then shut down on March 15th. So my 50s have been very interesting. Let's just say that. So one of the things I like to give a prize for New West and have a chance for you to win something. So what I will do is that for you, those of you on Zoom that are in the Lower Mainland, I apologize to those that are in a different province, but that's too far to deliver. I will offer someone the opportunity to win a full cheesecake baked by me, not necessarily this one, but a cheesecake nonetheless. And how should we do this in the aspect of, Fadi, is he still there? Yes. Could you pick a number? Shelley, how many people do we have on screen there?
24.
Okay, so we'll pick a number from 1 to, there'll be a few of us that'll be excluded. 24, and if you are not in the Lower Mainland, for those of us, so Shelley can skip you when she's counting, if you could stand there like this, so we know you're not in the Lower Mainland. So Shelley, don't count the people that are standing like this.
We can't see you, Guy.
Oh, you can't see me.
Okay. Oh, like this.
So if they're like this, that means they do not live in the Lower Mainland. So they cannot win this cake. All right?
Okay.
But everybody else, so Fadi, can you pick a number from 1 to 24, please?
I'm going to pick number 11.
11. My favorite number.
11. Janet.
Janet, yay! You get a full cheesecake for me. We can discuss later flavorings and styles. Sound good?
That's Janet Stewart, right?
Yep. Janet Stewart.
My neighbor.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
You turn it off. You want to?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes, we'll have cheesecake.
So I'm going to cut this one because I'm curious to see what it looks like inside.
Congrats.
Get party at her place, Janet, when you get it. We're coming
That's
down.
right. We'll have a party.
I'll bring the wine.
All right.
There we go. So I really want to see what this cheesecake looks inside, so I'm going to cut it because I've not had the opportunity to. So I'm going to look and see. And I did something I've never done with this one too. I just decided I'm just going to use all the cookies at the bottom and see what that works. So, look at the color. Yay! And see the base, it's cheesecake, so it works. There we go. Fantastic. Guess who? Everybody in the background is going to be eating some cheesecake, just so you know. Luis. Yay. Andrew. Woo. Barry. Hello. They're getting cheesecake. All right, I'm going to get the cupcakes from behind me, and let's see how they're looking. They're still a little warm, but not too bad. Good enough for today. So if you see them, you'll notice that they've shrunk a little bit. The cupcakes have gotten skinnier, so they'll be easier to take out. But this is where the fun goes. This is where your creative aspect happens, right? You decide what you want your cupcakes to look like. Are you a minimalist or not? Do you want to pile it on? Are you just going to really just eat them all by yourself and not share? Those are all things you can do. And that's just a perfect option for whatever you want. Now, I'm just going to take them out and put them on my plate. And there we go. And the cool thing about this is that the cookie base has some firmness still to it, but it doesn't get soggy, but it still holds its shape, which is a fantastic thing. So now it's really up to you. So let's just go with this lovely one. Should I go with red and red? Sure. The strawberry will go on the red cup. Oh, the kiwi, the gold kiwi will go on the yellow. Look at that. My goodness, it's working. It's working, ladies and gentlemen. It's working. So here are my green grapes. These will pop and refresh it. But you know what? Let's be naughty. Let's get the little gummy bears going on there. If you don't like them, you don't eat them. It's that simple. Oh, let's go with the blueberry with the purple. Oh, no. I think the blueberry was supposed to be with the blue. There we go. Look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Purple. And here's our orange. Aw. Look at this. Oh, look at that beauty. It's that frickin' simple. You have a lovely little plate. So if you were to do this for a whole bunch of friends and have it on your table, you just put it on a plate, you have your cups, and there you go. You just leave them there, and they look fabulous. And it's cheesecake is always better when it's a lot colder. So leave them in the fridge for an hour or two or overnight. And the good thing is, without the fruit, if you put the cheesecake in and you freeze it, it's really great later on. Like it comes to room temperature really nicely, and that's something I really enjoy doing. But also, if you want to throw some chocolate on there, grate some chocolate, some icing sugar, it's really whatever you prefer and what you want, which I think is a fabulous thing. Now, Facebook, my Facebook people that are here for Pride in our watch party, you have the opportunity to win something as well. It's not going to be a cheesecake, but you will have the chance to win this book by Dave DeVoe. But how do you win this book by Dave DeVoe? We will be chatting on our Facebook watch page. Well, here's the question for you. What is Peach Cobbler's real name? What is Peach Cobbler's boy name? And then first person to write that in there wins the book, and we will send it to you for Sissy, which is 3 plays that Peach Cobbler wrote. I mean, Dave DeVoe. Oops, was that a hint? Well, if you want to eat your cupcakes, you can. Hey, Luis, you want to come and grab a cupcake? Absolutely. Pick your color. Come on camera. There's
See,
Luis.
I'm really happy with mine. Look.
Show us.
See? See?
I can't see anything, so 1 sec.
Oh,
Oh, Nancy, those are beautiful.
they are. Diane's salivating in the corner.
So I would
Crayons.
recommend,
Crayons look really good as well.
Woohoo!
so you know, like everything, if it's not on if it's not on Instagram, it didn't happen, take a picture, share it with everybody, and I'm in the background. So share your pictures, tag Quarantine Kitchen, tell your friends to watch again and again. We hope to do more. The biggest thing we'd like to thank is community, and because they are sponsoring this lovely event. And as well, we'd like to thank Century House and the Gay Straight Alliance, which is very fantastic, because they're the hosts of this event, and without any of them, we wouldn't be doing this. I would love to thank Peach Cobbler for her lovely Peach Preach segments, because that's important to us. And I'd like to thank the gang here. Am I missing anybody with all the thanking? Because I would like to say,
I'd just like to thank Guy for taking the time to do this and using his premises and coming up with these innovative ideas, and to his crew that's there helping make this successful today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I would just like to say this. However you celebrate Pride, may it be safely and beautifully. Now I'm going to go walk around New Westminster and just wave to people for no reason at all. So bless you, and I'd like to thank a very special thank you to Fadi. Thank you so much for joining us. We will talk more. You want to do it again, Fadi?
Absolutely, without hesitation.
Perfect.
Thank you. Fun.
So thank you, everyone. This is the end of episode 2. Happy Pride, Vancouver. Happy Pride, New Westminster. And wherever you are, I hope that you... Actually, before we do that, I would like to ask one question to Ethan. Ethan, what does Princess Pandora think of this outfit? Is it good? Yes? But on that note, if you can't, right now, you can't live the life you love, you might as well love the life you live. So, merci beaucoup. À la prochaine. Ciao. Kiss, kiss.
What are you making? I'm hungry. That looks good. Can I have some?